Good morning, quilt people and seekers of the world. How are you? I'm doing really well. Wanted to do a quick life check-in video as much has gone on. And it's not like I feel like I need to, entertain anybody, but just in case anybody is curious about what is going on with my life and where I am right now. I have moved to Canada. The political situation in the United States just didn't feel safe to me. And as somebody who was raised in a horrific environment of institutionalized bigotry, like that stuff is just really scary to me. I don't mess around with it because when you have an enemy like that the government or God, you can't fight against that. And if you try, you're the bad guy. So the only thing you can do is remove yourself. So that's what I've done. I now live on Vancouver Island. I work at my sister's cannabis shop, Cheekies Merchants. Yay, shout out to Cheekies. And I am starting to build a life here for me because it wasn't just, the political situation that I'm like, no, thank you. But I was also going through a divorce, which was super painful. I just realized that environment really wasn't all in for my healing. Much of that environment, actually benefited from me being unwell. And that's just after the amount of personal evolution and personal work that I've done no longer was a fit. It was just very painful when I launched, all my books, especially the book, that was about what I personally survived, what I personally went through. All of my, inner truths was very much just ignored by everyone in my life. They were like, okay, that's nice for you over there. But there was no one who was willing to engage with me, who was willing to read my work or review my work on Amazon, because writers really live and die by reviews. And I know that people who aren't in the industry don't understand the gravity of reviews, how important that is, how it helps an author feel seen, heard, and celebrated. And there was just none of that, coming back to me, even though I was, working my ass off, making quilts for everybody, trying to, just be the Dale that we all know, and try and be engaging and loving and caring and giving and giving and giving. But when there's nothing coming back towards me, when I sit there at the book launch of my personal story alone, when no one will ask, how's that going? I just felt ignored to death. Really. And it was just up to me. And this is ultimately what I've come to throughout all of that. It was going to be up to me to find rooms that reflect back my light. And that wasn't an option where I was before. Everybody saw me as a problem, too loud, too big, too sexual, too naked, too spiritual, too out of the box, too not Christian, too shamanistic, too, much in the realm of energy work and viewing things from that perspective and not willing to kiss the ring of institutionalized homophobia, either by way of their politics or their religion. I don't do that. That's not for me. And while I'm like, okay, enjoy that, but I'm not going to be here while you celebrate all around me that which says I shouldn't have right to life or love. So that environment ultimately was not a fit for me anymore. And while it was, such an amazing journey, that blessing, that relationship, that marriage, all of it, it really worked for me for a long time, but then it stopped working, and I had to be the one to name that it wasn't working. And that in itself is its own trauma in a way, right? Because I feel so guilty over the heartbreak that I have created over being the one that said no more, over losing my pets, over losing the farm, over losing the hopes and dreams in life that I had built up for so many years and decades. It's all gone. And for that, I am blessed. Because I stand here now with a clean slate. And yes, it's very lonely in my basement apartment here. I live in somebody else's house in what used to be a garage. And it kind of feels like it on some days. On some days, it's very lonely. It's very quiet. I don't have a lot of friends here because I just moved here. But I do have one friend. And guess what? I'm on the verge of my next book launch because the art doesn't stop just because they did. No. Because that's where I go to learn. That's where I go to evolve. That's where I go to participate in oneness with spirit, with love, with my environment, to actualize myself and my mind and my soul. That's not anybody else's responsibility. That's my responsibility. Again, it'll be up to me to find rooms that I can stand in that reflect back my light, not rooms that feel threatened by my light, not rooms that are trying to diminish my light. Tell me to be quiet. Tell me to not speak about that which is most important to me. Tell me that my work is stupid. No. So I bless that. And I leave it in the past. Like I said, I'm on the verge of my next book launch, and I have one friend here in Victoria. And you know what we're going to do today? We're going to go and look at locations for my book launch. And even if it's just me and her raising a glass to my book, to my success, to all that is this next book. Because with each book, I feel like I become a better writer, I become a better storyteller. I am able to translate and transmute energy and frequency into letters on the page. Because each book for me is its own frequency, right? I'm not selling books, I'm selling frequency. And I don't write my books, I channel them. So they come from a really deep place. They come from a place that has the ability to stand at the edge of the veil with one hand in reality and one hand on the other side, saying to spirit, what do you want me to know? What's my next thing? What's my next evolution look like? What's the next, round of love that I can bring in for myself and hopefully for others? This whole process has really shown me that my art and my spirit are here for me, not for others. I've really dialed back the amount of stuff that I put out there in the world because a lot of it previously was performative. And I don't do that anymore. I don't have any interest in performing for you. I don't even have any interest in teaching you. You're not my responsibility. I am. I love the saying, and I've used it several times in my book, I didn't come here to teach you. I came here to love you. Love will teach you. And that's all we need to do in the world, is to resonate with love and understand that all the crazy, all the people acting some kind of way, all the hurt, all the ego, all the opinions, that's just broken people who haven't understood or been taught who they are. But again, it's not up to me or anyone else to teach them. It's up to them to teach themselves, right? To check in, to do the work, to do the heavy lifting, to understand why their trauma is a gift. And that's what my books are about, is helping me understand what was brought to me by way of trauma and the gifts that live there. I have really changed so much around that. I no longer see my mother as my abuser. She was the angel who took me to the depths of my soul. And for that, I am blessed. For that, I am blessed. And so that's what I try and translate to others, try and bring to others my journey so that it might shine a light for them on their path. But it's not up to me to hold that light, right? Or even bring that light. That'll be up to them. My art, my spirit journey, that's a journey for one, for me, right? And I have learned how to applaud myself. I have learned how to do this for me, how not to be performative, how to be on my journey for one. This is important stuff. And either you put importance in it or you put importance in other things like pleasure or money. And that's fine too. Hey, if that's the spirit journey you're on, go for it. But I do know one thing. You can seek presence or you can seek pleasure. Most people seek pleasure. They don't understand what they're actually looking for. They're just trying to pacify themselves with a temporary pleasure state in order to deal with their pain. They don't understand how they can completely extinguish all pain and all fear through presence, through stillness. Because when you get into that vibration where there is nothing else, there is no past, there is no future, there is only you in the silence of what is, in the current conscious present moment. Once you inhabit that space, fear and pain, especially the imagined fear and pain, which is what most of us are dealing with, unless there's someone actively in the room where you are hurting you, most of us are just sitting in a nice room, right? Trying to survive our own mind, unaware that all that fear and pain is a hallucination, is a creation of our own imagination. The imagination, when I first went to shaman school, was presented to me in a new light, something I had never seen being raised in a very Western/Christian environment. In shamanism, they view your imagination as a portal to learning. And that's what I'm doing with my books, right? I just open my mind and start typing and just wait to see what comes to me. I empty myself from myself. I am a conduit. In shamanism, they call that being the hollow bone. I am the hollow bone. There is no Dale in the room when Dale is writing. Dale has been excused. I had a friend, when I was announcing the book launch of Zenith's Peak, my 8th book now, and he was a fellow writer and a fellow artist, and he was just amazed. He was like, "You're so prolific. How is it that you write so much so fast?" And my response was, I don't write my books. I channel them. And that channel is an endless source of information that flows through me. I could be writing a lot more. Trust me, I am holding back very much because I know I overwhelm people. I know I'm a lot. I know when I'm putting out 6, 8, 10 books a year, that's too much for people. They don't know what to do with that, and so they just disengage. I've learned that. I've learned how I overwhelm people with the amount of production that I put out in quilts and books and artistry and music and song. And, I get it. I'm a lot. I'm a bit of a unicorn. And for that I am blessed. Because it's not everyone who sits down at a piano and just figures it out and plays it. But I do. It's not everyone who sits down at a computer and starts writing a bestseller book. But I do. It's not everyone who just sits down at a sewing machine and cranks out, $1,000 quilt for sale. But I do. And that's me. And it's going to be up to me to find people and bring them into my space who can handle that, who aren't overwhelmed by that, who can still say yes, and what's next, and what's next, and what's next. Because what's next is always my personal evolution of self. What's next is where my learning is. And again, that's not for them. And I've learned to stop talking about my art and my spirit online as much. Because again, that's not for them. And everyone out online trying to be special and trying to be important and trying to build a brand, that's all performative. No. I am in control of my energy. And while I might do this as a means to help me understand what it is that I'm doing, I do not seek understanding. I do not seek attention. I do not seek bigger stages, but I am open to them showing up for me and arriving if that feels right. I don't expect people to applaud. I don't expect people to build my brand. I don't even expect people to show up for me anymore. There's a lot of pain in that, right? Those types of expectations, and then it doesn't happen, and then you're, hurt. So, I'm here in Canada on a new journey. And it starts from a basement apartment. It starts from a converted garage with no one, with an entry-level job, step by step, day by day, putting together a life that will reflect back my light. I hope that you are doing well. I'm very excited about my next book launch, Zenith's Peak, which is book 1 in the Journey of a Light Shaman trilogy. I hope that you will maybe read it if you're open to that, if that feels right to you, if you feel called to explore the dark. Because even though it is Journey of a Light Shaman, that journey, book 1 in Journey of a Light Shaman, explores sacred madness in a way that my other books have not. If you want to help understanding yourself, understanding sacred madness, what it feels like when you don't know if you're losing your mind or evolving in your consciousness, then that book is for you. And you get to watch a very broken individual eventually step into their own holiness. I love you. Be well. Bye for now.